Right before she died of a drug overdose, I had no idea she was taking drugs.
It gets you addicted. I mean, I started out like any drug, just doing it once a week. Then it became twice a week. Then it became almost every night, smoking a little bit. Then it became waking up with it, doing it all day long.
I didn't get to see my daughter, but her dad did.
He was a heroin addict. He, had struggled with heroin for a long time, but he had been clean for a year.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, God, why? Why did you drive?
I looked to the left and I saw like this white truck, and I couldn't say no. I said, I go, oh Jesus, like that, and it hit us.
You will be convicted of a felony if you're caught selling this stuff.
And what you don't really realize is that you're putting your life in danger and everybody else around you in danger, and it's just not worth it.
It was 8 minutes from the time the officer left, and that my daughter was killed.
Broke my back at T12, severed my spinal cord, had a punctured lung, a torn diaphragm, and several broken ribs, and that's what left me paralyzed at the waist, and he got a speeding ticket. That's it.
Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here. I see we have quite a few people in the room. This is one of the rare times when we have a premiere in the afternoon. Usually these events are in the evening. So I think we have a few new people who aren't typically part of these events when we have them in the evenings. So welcome. If you're in the live event, and if you're watching the live event on a smart TV, you can still participate in the chat by joining the event on your phone also. And you can engage in the chat on your phone while you still watch on your smart TV. So there's that. Hello, Ruth Taylor. Thank you for being here. Virginia, thank you for being here. Hi from Pasadena. Virginia and Pasadena. Pasadena, Texas. Pasadena, California. Pasadena, some other Pasadena. I don't know. Her story was very heartbreaking, Kimberly says. And yes, and it's a different kind of story because we're hearing from a sibling, and we don't typically have siblings sharing stories. It's usually parents, usually mothers. But so it's fantastic to have it's fantastic to have a sibling sharing a story. Really, really is. So recovery is possible even after many years of addiction. I'm a true survivor. This is a brain disorder that makes people use terrible judgment. However, it is not something to be ashamed of. Lynn Grubbs. Thank you. We certainly agree. We have a whole series of recovery stories on our channel, and there's over 60 recovery stories on our channel, and they are all powerful in one way or another, but there's a few that really stand out to me. There's one that made me cry during the interview. No, I don't typically do that, but it was Thomas Reef. And the title of his story is Meth, Miracles, and Ministry, I believe. And so, Virginia College, Pasadena, Texas. Holy cow. You are not far from me at all. Not at all. I went to high school. I went to Dobie High School. Did we have this conversation before? I don't know. Yes, that was a sibling. I went back to school to be a life coach. Very grateful. That's awesome. There is this incredible reward in helping others that I think is. I think I was being interviewed once for a news story. I said this thing: if you have the resources and the ability to contribute, it's sort of a sin not to. And I really believe that, but when I said it, I was being all video guy, and I was thinking, "Ooh, that's good. They're going to use that." That was funny. Anyway, so I see some new names in here. Are there others? Does anyone out there have questions about the story? Questions about Texas Pictures? Questions about the other content on our channel? Anything you'd like to ask me? Feel free. And in a few minutes, I'm going to share with you guys a short that we talked about in the last live. It's about a car crash that I was in back in 2003. And I had this concept for a documentary that it hasn't happened yet, but I still think it could happen. It should happen. It's a good idea, I think. But nobody wants to it'd be a big project. So, Glenn, thank you so much for the chance to tell Adam's story. He will be my big brother forever. And thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you very much. And I'm sure all the people here in the group are grateful for you sharing your story. It is, I think, very, very powerful and important. And there's an extra level of importance because it is a story from a sibling. I see we have someone in Cape Town, South Africa, Tyrone Sellers. Thank you for being here, and glad to have you. What is it like in South Africa as far as issues with illicit drugs? Is it much of an issue? Is it not? I'll just leave that there for you to answer. Where's the premiere? The premiere just finished, and you can find it on our channel with 320 something other stories about fentanyl and over 60 stories about addiction recovery, stories about human trafficking, stories about domestic violence, stories about cannabis-induced psychosis, impaired driving, missing persons. And we have a couple of stories coming up sometime soon. They're about unsolved murders. So, Virginia, Pasadena, Texas. That's cool. So Amanda, now that the premiere has happened, comments will start showing up on the story, and most of them will be wonderfully supportive, positive comments, and I think you'll probably, well, I don't know, you'll like them. You'll find something positive in them. Kimberly says different Kimberly. Kimberly McClay says the Florida Panhandle continues to have the highest death rate due to illicit drugs. We've been to Pensacola, Florida 3 times recording stories. 3 times. Yeah. Well, the general area. Edge Grosco says it's dangerous about the murders, especially here in Dallas, Texas. And the first unsolved murder story that we will be publishing, whenever that happens, will be in the next week or two for sure. The first one is from Dallas. The victim's name, Armani Dante Morgan. He was 27 years old. Amanda says District 1, which includes Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, Walton County, has the highest rate in Florida. And Florida has some high rates. One thing that surprised us when we were talking about high rates, in 3 of the last 5 years, the highest fatality rate for illicit fentanyl per capita in the entire country was Anchorage, Alaska. So a DEA agent that we talked to when we were in Anchorage told us. It's incredible. Just terrible. Who else? Now, for those of you that are new to this, hello, Ruth Taylor. Thank you for being here. I don't know if I read your name before. But thank you for being with us. If there's other people in the audience who would like to ask questions or are new, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what part of the country, what part of the world you're in. We have someone in Cape Town, South Africa. I've been to Africa. I've been to Egypt. But, that's way on the other end. But that's as close as I've been. So how about a little feedback on this this story? What stands out to you folks about it? What's most memorable? What was there anything that was a surprise? For me, the point where Adam learned that his wife had gotten a divorce and remarried, that's a tough blow. Imagine how shattering that would be to come out, spending the time locked up, and it's over, and you're clean, and you're feeling healthy. You're feeling like, yeah, I can do this. And then you get such a punch in the gut. Ruth says, it's Charlene, first name Ruth, Moss Point, Mississippi. Thank you for letting me film my son Alex's story. Alex's story will be our next premiere. It'll be Monday, probably around 7 o'clock. We'll be setting that up tomorrow and announcing the schedule, and we'll be doing a live event like we're doing now, again with that one. She filed in another county that he didn't live in, and he had no clue. It was devastating. I'm sure it was. I'm sure that had to been just terrible. Joe, who else is here? There's a lot of new names. I'm seeing a lot of new names. I guess it's because this is an afternoon thing on a Saturday. We don't typically do this then, but certainly glad we are, and I feel pretty confident that we'll do it again. I'm just going over the messages we have here. District 1, highest rates in Florida. So what else? Some other questions here. Is Brenda here? Brenda, are you here? I don't know how you... Brenda is in a lot of our live events that are in the evening, just like Kim is, and Kimberly Smith. And just wondered if she might be here, or Brad, or Carla, or any of the other usual suspects that we see in these events. His girlfriend not using the Narcan that she had is just awful. Yeah, that whole circumstance of not recognizing the danger, not recognizing the imminent danger, dragging him out by his feet and putting him behind the tent and forgetting about him. Kimberly says, Sheila, I used marijuana and alcohol, so now I am 12 years clean now. Kimberly Smith, she's in Memphis. And we'll be seeing her next month, I believe. Amanda says, yes, to this day, she will not face me. She is still doing what she was then. That has to be a terrible thing for her, too. She has to live with it. You know, it's that has to be difficult. You would think an experience like that would create motivation to maybe get clean, maybe do something. You would think. So in the last live event, we talked briefly about a car crash that I was in. And it happened in 2003. And I had this, I had the idea before the crash, and the crash just seemed to reinforce that it's a good idea, and maybe I wasn't pursuing it enough. And I'm still not, I guess, because it hasn't happened. So I have a video that I'm going to play in a moment here. It's about 3 minutes long, and the idea behind making the video was to have a video that I could use as a tool to present the concept of this documentary we were trying to find a way to get funding for. And it just didn't happen. Kimberly McClay says failing to use available Narcan was the same in the death of my son. That's terrible. Glenn, is Shelley in the group? I don't know. I don't see a list of names of the people that are in the group. If they don't say something in the chat, I don't know they're here. So if they don't speak up. So I'm going to share with you this short video. It is 2.5 minutes long. Just 2.5 minutes long. And it's about the crash I was in. And then it transitions to explain the importance of this concept for a documentary about traffic crime. And when I say traffic crime, that doesn't just mean impaired driving. It's all of them. Those traffic crimes that we all do. Speeding, following too close, ignoring warning signs, driving too fast for the weather conditions, not maintaining our vehicle correctly. Stuff like that. So here we go. We are going to play this now. 2.5 minutes, folks, and I will be right back.
I was on my way home from a networking event sponsored by the University of Houston Alumni Association, and I was looking forward to spending the rest of the evening with my family. I was having a very good day. But somewhere behind me, a Chevrolet pickup truck and an Acura Legend were racing, and both vehicles were traveling at over 100 miles an hour. I heard screeching tires, and I managed to catch a glimpse of the pickup truck in my rear view mirror just before it struck my vehicle from behind. The impact and the continued pushing by the truck caused my vehicle to slide to the left, and then to the right, and then flip at least 3 times. My vehicle finally came to a stop in a grassy area between the service road and the freeway, upside down. I was unconscious. I woke up inside an ambulance. I was strapped to a board, wearing a neck brace, and breathing through a mask. I was covered in mud. My head was bleeding, and I had no idea how I got there. I suffered a concussion, a cervical strain, and internal injuries to my left shoulder and my right hand. The pain I still feel in my neck, shoulder, and hand will probably be with me for the rest of my life. And I was lucky. More than 40,000 people in this country die in traffic accidents every year. The majority of these accidents are caused by someone committing a crime. Yet despite this terrible statistic, we as a culture tend to consider criminal acts behind the wheel to be tolerable, even acceptable, to be far less serious than other kinds of crimes against society. I am asking for your help to change this tragic misconception.
Okay. So how about that? That was kind of different, wasn't it? Y'all are all quiet now. She may not allow herself to think how far reaching. Yeah, that Amanda, your point about how far reaching her actions are, that how it's with people that are in addiction, they are focused on the task of feeding the addiction, of chasing the dragon. And they don't really see anything else. That all they think about is where their next dose, next fix is coming from. That's what I hear from them. A part of my story, yeah, that was a weird thing. Your mind, after going through something like that, your mind for a while will just now and then throw these weird things. A couple of days after it happened, I was driving down the road with someone in my car, I guess a rental car, and it just occurred to me, my funeral would have been today. How weird is that? And about 6 months after that happened, I was going into a neighborhood Walgreens, and this woman was coming out, and she stopped me, and she started to cry a little bit, and she said, "Sir, I am so happy to see you." She was at the crash scene or drove by the crash scene or whatever, but saw me covered in mud and unconscious, and she thought I died. I swear she hugged me. It's so strange. Anyway, so yes, Kimberly has a lot going on. Kimberly is in Memphis, and lots of outreach to homeless and that kind of thing, and she's really making things happen there. It's very cool. So who else is in the group? So we have, like I was saying with Kimberly, we have a summit coming up in Memphis next month. It's just a few weeks away. And it looks like there's going to be a summit in North Carolina. Baton Rouge, and Georgia. We hear from people on a pretty regular basis wanting to try to make a storytelling summit happen in their area. Virginia is working at the moment and listening. That's cool. I appreciate you being here. Hello, Ann. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Very cool. Now I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to share with you folks a link to a page that's on our website. If I can figure out the right way to do that. Let's see if I do that. Yeah, it didn't like that. Do that. That's that. Well, all right. So I guess not. So we'll do that and yank that over here. And there we are. All right. So there's a page on our website that describes how our storytelling summits work. And here is a link for that page for anyone who might be interested in trying to make a storytelling summit happen in whatever area you're in, even South Africa, if there's a reason for that. There's a link to the page that explains how they work. We don't charge anything. We cover our own travel expenses. Other than that, we don't pay anything. We don't charge anything. We just come and do it. And so we have an updated summit map right here. And these are the places where we've had summits so far. Plus, we already have a star in place for Memphis because, well, it's a nuisance to update the map. So we went ahead and put Memphis in there, even though it's a few weeks early. Just thought I would share that. We have been around. And all of these locations began with one local person interested in having us share their story, and they coordinated the event locally. They find a place for us to record the interviews and a few storytellers, and then we find more by announcing the event on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. Amanda says we will be holding a forum for our community May 14th called Ask, bringing the conversation, erasing the stigma behind addiction. It could be that there's there's something in the recovery stories that might be useful for that event, that you might want to play a part of one of our stories or something like that. If it's appropriate, we're glad to help you out. May 14th. I don't know what we've got going on May 14th, but it sounds like an awesome event. And so for those of you in the room that are storytellers, or those who would like to be storytellers, Kimberly McClay will be speaking. That's awesome. Cool. Glad you're here, Kimberly McClay. And thank you, Glenn. That'll be great. So for those of you in the group who are who shared stories with us, or those who wish to share stories with us at some point, if you're on Facebook, we have a private Facebook group that you should be a part of. The purpose of the group is so that we can stay in touch with all of our storytellers, and also so that those who want to share a story when we're in their area stay connected with us. And when we make an announcement in the group about some area we're going to, they get first crack at registering to share their story. And there's also a lot of member magic that goes on where people connect with each other. A lot of the people in the group have some sort of awareness efforts going on. Some have nonprofit organizations that they're working on. And everybody pretty much helps everybody in the group. So it's very cool. There's about 600 members in it right now. And anyone who would like to be a part of it, if you email me, not email, if you friend me on Facebook and then send me a message in Facebook Messenger. And when I say friend me, I mean me, Glenn Muse, not the Texas Pictures, not that way, the Glenn Muse way. Friend me and then send me a Facebook message reminding me to invite you to the group. And I will be glad to make that happen. Ruth says, so glad that you're okay, Glenn. God decided it wasn't your time. I know he's keeping you here to keep helping people. Well, thank you, Ruth, Charlene, Ruth. I appreciate that. So the crash was a strange thing, for sure. Well, you guys get the concept, right? We don't take traffic crime very seriously at all. Pretty much everyone speeds. Everyone might push the limit on a yellow light. Or a lot of people do. Maybe not everyone. But yeah, and those things are illegal for public safety reasons. And we just we don't take it seriously. Driving is the most dangerous thing most of us will ever do. We do it all the time, and we never think about it. But if you think about it, we all probably know someone who's been killed in a car crash. It is a violent crime. I digress. Anyway, we're probably not going to stay on much longer today because we have more projects to work on. But we have the next story. The next story, the storyteller is in the room. Ruth. Charlene Ruth. In Moss Point, Mississippi. And she shares the story of her son, Alex, who passed away at the age of 44. And in that story, much like Amanda in the story today, Ruth, Charlene, There's a very free flowing kind of way that she shares her story. And it's easy to follow. Like Amanda. And like many of the others. I'm not any other storytellers in the group. I'm not. I'll just shut up. So that's going to happen on Monday. At least that's the plan right now. Kristen Lauer. I took a ride from a stranger who was too drunk to drive, and we got in a head-on collision. I busted my right shoulder and 2 collarbones. Being in agony from the accident has altered my life. Yeah. That kind of trauma, it can stay with you physically for life, and it can stay with you mentally as well. It can be far reaching, and uh, and it can really mess with your thoughts, mess with your ability to just go about your day by day. Virginia Collins, there you are. I see you. I see you here too. And we have one story on our channel that deals directly with suicide. And we are totally game for doing more. I feel like for a series like that, it needs to not have that word in the title. It needs to be something else, because YouTube is hypersensitive to that word, the S word. Hypersensitive. For good reason. They don't want viewers to be getting ideas to they have to walk a fine line. I'm certain, But we've talked about doing a series about that, except to call it something else, like Reason to Live. Kristen says, sorry for everyone who has lost friends, family from auto collisions. One of my friends that died 4 days after my car accident. I had to talk to the coroner due to a twin brother passing away. Yeah, it's so far reaching, and we just kind of look the other way. Traffic enforcement in this area and in most areas I've been to is sort of lax. And traffic crime kills more people than any other kind of crime. Kills more people and costs more money than any other kind of crime. But we don't take it serious. It's crazy. But you guys understand what I mean. Everything, Even in the case of impaired driving, we've done several documentaries that have to do with drunk driving. We've worked with the Houston Police Department and the DWI task force with HPD, as well as Mothers Against Drunk Driving and law enforcement agencies in other parts of the country, specifically about impaired driving. And the thing about impaired driving, a drunk driver, I have to figure out the right way to say this. It's not the drunk that causes the crash. It's the decisions they make, what they do while they're drunk and driving. And what I mean by that is they speed, or they don't stay in their lane, or they run a stop sign or a traffic light. And all of those things are crimes too. And they're a whole lot easier to prove than impaired driving. But now there is this crazy amount of money around drunk driving cases. When in some states, maybe in all states, I don't know, but in some states, like in Texas and in Idaho, because I've talked to an impaired driving specialist who was with the police department in Boise, I believe. The criminal code for impaired driving is like 4 pages long. For murder, it's 1 or 2. And impaired driving, it's not the impaired. It's the driving decisions while impaired. The reckless abandon for safety that leads the drunk driver to commit other traffic crimes and wind up hurting someone or hurting themselves. And so if we worked harder at enforcing all traffic crime, in cases where someone is charged with intoxication, manslaughter, it could be vehicular manslaughter, and they could be charged with not staying in their lane. And that's very black and white. There's not a lot of defense options with a charge like that. It's obvious. And now a lot of times there's going to be video. But if they're charged with intoxication manslaughter, the defense attorney can go after the intoxication part and bring everything into question: the field sobriety check, the blood test, the breathalyzer results. They can challenge all of those things. For what? So, don't get me going. Ruth, also known as Charlene, says, meeting to share my story really helped. Meeting other families going through the same thing. I was scared, but I do encourage anyone to reach out to Glenn. Yeah, it is. And one of the things that's so cool about it, Amanda and Ruth and any other storytellers that are in the chat right now can probably attest to this other bit of magic that happens. It is a wonderful, powerful, cool thing for me doing the interviews. And it's easy for me because I know how they're going to end. I know when it's over, I'm going to come around from behind the camera and the storyteller is going to hug me. And then I'm going to give him one of these. Right? Right, Ruth? Right, Amanda? This is such a great metaphor for what they just did by sharing their story and putting it out there where other people can see it, hear it, learn from it, grow from it. You are lifesavers. And so I know that's going to happen at the end. And we also have a special T-shirt for them. And so, but the other cool thing is what happens in the other room. There's a story on our channel that's just an excerpt out of one of the recovery stories where the guy in recovery, his name's Danny, I think, it's one of the newest ones, talks about being in the other room. And this thing happens in the other room, and the other room can be any kind of mix of stories. Some of the people in the room can be recovery stories. Some are fentanyl related stories. Some might be human trafficking or domestic violence or cannabis induced psychosis or something else. But in that room where there's usually food, some kind of snacks, something, in that room, people bond, connect. They meet each other, make connections, and bond fast. It's awesome. I miss a lot of it because I'm in the other room. Now, usually my wife is there and she gets to see a lot of it. And when I come out to get more coffee, I get to see it. And I'll do an interview at, say, 10 o'clock, and then another one at 11, and another one at 12. And then after the one at 12 o'clock, I'll go into the other room. And the 10 o'clock person is still in the other room, just visiting with other people that are there. It's awesome. And so, yeah, there is this thing that happens in the other room. Maybe in Memphis, we will make some sort of story about the other room. Maybe. Events are always crazy. Kristen says, it's great to see and hear you, Glenn. Thank you. I've been missing the Texas Pictures family. Well, I appreciate you being able to join us. Glad you're here. Very glad you're here. Kristen says, I couldn't get health insurance for 8 years due to denial of, I'm not sure what that means, Kristen. It's crazy. The way some things work in general is insane. Like I was saying about the impaired driving thing. There's always another crime. There's a traffic crime aside from the drunk driving. If a driver is drunk and drives all the way home and never breaks any other traffic laws, he's going to get home. But drunk or sober, if he doesn't stay in his lane, or he runs traffic lights, or he's speeding, being drunk is a mitigating circumstance, but it is It's the one that draws all the penalties, and it's the one that draws all the attention in court, and that the defense attorneys doing their job the way they're supposed to do their job find opportunities to discredit the evidence to help their client, which is how the system is supposed to work. Amanda says trauma is very complex, and if resources are not available to people, it's such a vicious cycle. For sure. Kristen says 8 years of denials, physical pain, nor broken bones are a reason for needing health insurance help. I had the rheumatoid arthritis at 20 years old from my parents' inability to buy me shoes with soles. That's such a simple thing. Just that's terrible. Kimberly says, Glenn is my biggest lifesaver. Well, thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate that. But it is going to be about time to wrap it up pretty quick. We have been here for 58, 57 and a half minutes. If I missed anything, if I missed a message because I was rambling or on some rant about impaired driving or traffic crime or whatever, please repeat, and I'll try to address it before we wrap things up. So I have this display over here that's from YouTube, and there's a delay of 8 or 9 seconds between when I say something or move and when I see it over on this display over here. And so it's kind of weird to me, you know. Amanda says, maybe my husband will film a story. His brother passed from fentanyl, and he almost passed from it in 2022. His story can help so many others. We shall see. So, Amanda, I can tell you something about storytellers is much like people in recovery, they gotta wanna, you know, that I think for the people who do it, there's a reward, but maybe they're a special kind of people. We've done a little bit over 300 stories about 320. And that's not even a dent in the number of stories that are out there. That's nothing. And so I think that maybe it's just a special kind of person who is open to trying to help others, who wants to help others. And but that sounds like in the case of your husband, it's harder for dudes. It is. But there's several recovery stories that are from Mississippi that are in our recovery series. There is Thomas Reef, Danny Ivy, I think that's his name. There's 3 of the newest ones that are all guys in recovery, and they're all great stories. And I think maybe if your husband watched a couple of those, not with the idea of saying I could do that, but with the idea of understanding the value that comes from them. Anyone can do the interviews the way we make it happen. The process is easy. The topic may not be easy, but the process is. Right, Amanda? Right, Ruth? It's easy. The process is. Kristen says, the state told me I took too many school classes to be crippled or handicapped. I got 8 years of denials for health insurance. Too smart to be disabled. Wow. That was terrible. Kristen says, Glenn has helped to save my life and carrying a torch, candle for all the hearts that need remembering. Oh, that's very, very sweet, Kristen. I appreciate that very much. So, Amanda and Ruth, the process is easy, isn't it? You're just talking to a person. You can't even see the camera, right? Anyway, it is just about time to wrap it up, folks. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. Amanda says he is very private. Oh, I lost it. He's very private and shy, but I think lived experience is always impactful. Kristen says, thank you, God, for all the helping hands and shared stories from Glenn's platform to heal our lives and join us together with love. That's an awesome thought. That's an awesome little prayer there. That's wonderful. The other one, which I forgot to do in the last live, usually Brenda is here and I haven't seen her today. But Brenda always, when I announce that we're about to wrap it up, Brenda always posts the same message. And that message is, remember, what you take for granted, someone else is praying for. That's such a wonderful, simple, powerful thought. It says we all have things to be grateful for. So, anyway, I am so grateful for you guys. We are here for you. You're welcome to reach out to us anytime. And there's several ways you can get in touch with us. You can email us at info@texas-pictures.com. You can find us on Facebook under my name, Glenn Muse. And you can visit our website, texas-pictures.com. And on our website is information about how to share your story. There's a link to our merchandise page, and there's more information about us, like a mailing address and that kind of thing. So thank you very much for joining us. And we will be back with our next live event on Monday evening, probably around 7:45. But that's it for now. So you guys have a great Saturday afternoon, and we will talk to you next time. Bye for now, folks.